Hello and welcome to Shadow of the Cast, a Marvel Champions podcast. I'm Villain Theory, and I'm joined, of course, by my incredible co-host, Nelson.
Hello, what's up? Happy to be here.
Yeah, today's a bit of a different episode because if you haven't seen it already, I posted a little video on my YouTube channel where I talk about kind of what I'm calling my final videos, but I don't know if I'm actually stopping. I'm probably slowing down significantly. I am slowing down significantly. And that means on my YouTube channel, no more Shadow of the Cast. And some of you might be sad to hear that, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the end.
Yeah, because what we are going to be doing is transitioning the Shadow of the Cast videos to my channel, Nelson All Over Cards. And then we got a couple of questions from the community, like EMJFD asking if it's going to be continued on Spotify. They will continue on Spotify. So if you're listening to this not on YouTube, no changes. Absolutely not. If you're listening to it on YouTube, go over to Nelson All Over Cards to see the new releases, not Villain Theory's channel. But it's sad. It's sad, but I'm excited that we're going to be continuing to do this because I do really enjoy these discussions with you.
Yeah, I still enjoy the game. It's just, part of it is time constraint and putting so much time into it. And now Nelson's going to have to do the less fun parts, like the editing. Gonna throw that all at him. But yeah, I'm still enjoying and playing the game. I still enjoy talking to Nelson. When he isn't rude to me. And no,
Yeah,
so,
I just have to contain myself every once in a while. It's just my nature to be as mean as possible to people. So
Nelson is famously very negative and not positive.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. One of the other fun things that for the YouTube for oh my gosh, I feel like an old person now. For the YouTube,
For the
that
YouTube.
for the YouTube version of the podcast going forward, we're going to be switching to more of a video cast kind of situation. So if you saw the Silk deep dive that Villain Theory and I did that we posted on the channel, it's going to be very similar to that, where you can kind of see us, we can react, but I like that kind of style, and honestly, I feel a little bit more comfortable in video editing than I do just straight audio editing. So here we are.
That's actually really funny because we have a question from Ryan Goodwin, and they say, "Do you prefer the podcast or video format for discussing Marvel Champions?" And I feel like you've just answered that. And me secretly, I probably prefer audio editing. A few of my videos recently, I've just decided not to have the camera there. I just feel like I can just do it a little bit easier. I don't have to worry about lighting and things so much. But I'm obviously, quite used to being on video at this point and very happy to do that. You can see all our silly reactions, which will vary.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I think it'd be fun to try that style for Shadow of the Cast because it's very conversational. It's very different to my usual video
Mhm.
thing that I do anyway. So yeah, should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I prefer the video format. I am obsessed with lighting and all of that kind of stuff, and just I enjoy it. And so having that like physical like thing to look at and seeing the reactions of people, I think yeah, Villain. You can't see it now, but Villain's covering his face, right? But it's fun to be able to just have that another dimension of communication from like the facial expressions and like the reactions and everything that you don't necessarily get with a pure audio format. So that's why I like the video. It is a little bit more work from like an editing perspective, but that's what I do. So
I like that you said, adding another dimension because I feel like the podcast is moving into a new dimension, a kind of
there you
a new
go.
era, and I think this will be
Nice.
a fun change. The same but different.
There you go. Nice. But yeah, so this is a kind of a special episode because this is looking back on the last 20 episodes of Shadow of the Cast, which is insane. That's so cool. And we were talking right before the podcast started. We are coming out with new episodes on the third Monday of every single month. We told ourselves we need to be more cognizant and diligent about telling people that and reiterating that. So third Thursday of every month, but 20 episodes. How crazy is that?
That's pretty crazy. The last episode we had the amazing interview with Caleb Grace, lead designer or ex-lead designer. But they still have more stuff coming up, so they kind of still feel like a designer. And that was amazing. But we were so focused on doing that interview, I kind of realized afterwards, oh, that was our 20th episode. maybe we should have made a big deal about that. We also, I completely missed our 1 year sort of anniversary of the podcast, but the podcast has been going over a year now by a good few months. I actually don't remember how many, but
Hmm.
we definitely hit a couple of good milestones. I remember reading a statistic somewhere that most podcasts don't make it past their 10th episode, and being stubborn, I was like, we're going to make it to at least 20, and it has timed it's timed on my channel at least very well. But like we say, podcast is continuing. But yeah, I've really, really enjoyed doing this, and I guess that's why we're continuing it all this time, going into the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this episode, we are taking a lot of just questions, looking back on Marvel Champions, looking back on the podcast, and we got a lot of community questions that range from pretty much everything. And so we're going to be diving in and answering a lot of those during this episode. So we're just going to be kind of popcorning. It's going to be a little bit less, I don't know if organized is the right word, because usually we have a topic, and this one we don't really have a topic. So we're just kind of talking. And so, Villain, do you have a question from the community that is really like, that's the one we need to start with?
I just want to say that this episode is no less organized than usual, but somehow it has more chaos. That's what I'm envisioning. But me, I'm quite orderly. I think if I can do something chronological, I'm probably going to try and do it. So I think it makes sense to go back to the beginning, and I think this has come up before on the podcast, so we don't have to spend ages on it. But Dennis Giles, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, says, "Do you still remember your first play of Marvel Champions? Which hero did you play?"
I do. I think I am non-unique in the first game of Marvel Champions that I ever played, and it was Spider-Man versus Rhino. I think that is
Boring.
a yeah, right? Lame. Ooh.
How could you play the tutorial
Uh,
character against like the tutorial villain?
yeah, right? I don't know what I was even thinking, to be honest with you. No, I just kind of like I dived in. It was kind of like during the pandemic, and so there's a lot of like I don't know, downtime, I guess. But my goal during the pandemic was to play a board game every single day that we were in lockdown. And what I ended up doing is that's when I started to play a lot more solo games just because my wife and the people that were living with me did not want to play as many board games as I wanted to play. And so I started to dive into some solo games. I had played Marvel Legendary in the past, and then I had heard that if you like Marvel Legendary, you have to check out Marvel Champions. That's what I did. And so I played that, and then I went and I played a lot of Marvel Champions very quickly. Um, and I guess the rest is history. What about you? Do you have a similar story?
Not really. So my friend just one day is like, "Hey, I've got this like Marvel game," and I'm thinking, "Oh, it's some kind of cheap movie tie-in, something tacky." I didn't do a lot of board gaming. I think I said this before. I didn't do a ton of board gaming before Marvel Champions. Something I'm interested in, but never really delved into deeply. And they're like, "It's pretty fun. You want to try it?" Oh, they've got all these characters. And I'm like, "I'll pick Black Panther." Didn't even know he was one of the core set characters. He was just described to me as using, cards to trigger his upgrades that you play. And I was like, that sounds fun. And it was against Rhino. I'm not going to say I went crazy there. I think we just did standard Rhino. But I really enjoyed it. And subsequently, I still really enjoy Black Panther. The nostalgia is strong, but I also just find the sequence of, Wakanda Forever, setting up a bunch of upgrades really strong. So I think I started in a really, really good place.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love Spider-Man still to this day, and so I wonder if it is the, you know, first hero you played, you gotta love him forever type feeling.
My second character I played was Doctor Strange, and I'm not the biggest Doctor Strange fan, so there's a point where that breaks.
Yep, and that is game 2. That is absolutely game 2. So nice. You see my screen?
Your screen. Hang
Just
on.
shared my screen.
My question actually doesn't come from the community. It comes from Fantasy Flight Games, who have rudely, again, interrupted our recording with a new hero reveal.
No. Okay, so we just came back from the Winter Soldier reveal live stream. We were in the middle of, starting up the podcast, and we got the article announcement from Fantasy Flight Games, and we went and did that. So we are coming back, and ready to continue on with the questions that we got from the community. And I feel like it's kind of fun to kind of dive back in with a question from Ethan, which is, what has been your favorite part about making videos for Marvel Champions? Uh,
Ooh,
yeah.
that is a good question. I'm gonna delay answering just to say the Winter Soldier reveal, like the article, like he looks fun. The aspect cards look fun. I am excited. If you haven't watched our reaction to that, it's on Nelson's channel. Um, I'm wow. I think one of the reasons, I made this my YouTube channel and I started doing content, beyond deck building, like for a variety of reasons. But one of them was community engagement, and there's nothing better than putting a video out and then people saying, "Wow, this was like, just really good." But sometimes like specific examples, I think, are just something that, if someone says, "Oh, this helped me do this, so I'm going to go and try this," and I feel like, "Oh, wow, I've really made a difference in, helping someone get fun out of the game," that makes me feel really good. So
Hmm.
that's probably just like seeing that people like what I actually put out there and that it makes a difference. I think that's probably like my favorite part of creating it. My other favorite part is the recording of it and not the editing. Do not like the editing. What about you?
That that's so funny. I enjoy editing, which is kind of funny. Like my business partner
Uh,
with my other business, like he loves taking the B-roll of all the videos, and so he'll do a lot of the B-roll. I'll do a lot of the editing because I just find it relaxing. It's like my element where I tend to thrive, and so it's really like um fun to hear that we have different strengths and different enjoyments. I would say my favorite part about making videos, I really like the community. I like like interacting with the community.
yeah.
I picked this question coming back from the Winter Soldier reveal because we did that live stream. We had, I think it was like close to 150 people kind of watching along,
Whoa.
commenting and engaging with that. And it's just fun to experience a game that we all enjoy together and see the excitement that both I have, Villain Theory has, but also everybody together. And that's why I do a lot of live stream. Like I started the channel, I don't think I've made any like normal like videos, quote unquote videos that were not just live streams for months on the channel. And I don't even know if I had an intent to do normal videos on the channel. But I love live streaming, and it's a really cool way to connect people who really enjoy the game together. And so that's probably my favorite part about making videos or being like a content creator for champions is the community is just fantastic.
Yeah, I'm just gonna give a little anecdote here. There are various reasons I did start, stuff. I really like what Tony Tails did, and then he disappeared. And I'm like, who am I gonna watch for that kind of stuff now? Do it myself. Um, but but also, I had done a deck building series, Unusual X-Men decks, which Nelson, I think you actually played one or two of those. We did like a group game and stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and I think Get Up and Game played the first one. He like kicked off that with all different content creators playing this series of decks I made. And I was just overwhelmed by how much feedback he got after playing it, how enthusiastic everyone was. I was like, this doesn't happen on Marvel CDB. And I never actually ended up doing much gameplay or sharing a ton of like deck stuff yet, at least, slowing down the channel. Like, so we'll see what happens. But like, a lot of my inspiration was seeing how people reacted to that. And I think that's just really amazing. Like, the community can come together in that way.
Yeah, and I think this leads us into another good question from Winningham Podcast. And how have your thoughts on content creation changed since you started? And then there's the second part of the question, but I do want to get your thoughts on this because I think this is really topical for kind of where you are right now in content creation.
Yeah, I think when I started this YouTube channel, I didn't have an exact idea where it would go. I actually thought I would, people were telling me to focus on deck building, and I actually thought I would cover it more than I have so far. Uh, but I was kind of expecting it to be a little more casual and a little less effort. And I think over time, I put more and more time into each video, which hopefully you guys enjoy. But it definitely became more of a burden on my time. Sometimes I feel like I spend more, my busier moments with videos. I spend more time making the videos than playing the game, which I didn't anticipate. So my thoughts in that regard, it's actually maybe a little bit extra work than I expected, and I ended up going into it more than I thought. But coming out now, I kind of see, like, especially with everyone's support and all the comments I've got, I haven't had time to reply to all of them at the time of recording, but I have read every comment. A lot of people are just happy to see what I want to talk about, and I think I want to, for me, I saw it kind of like a hobby and a new way to express some sort of my, connect with the community about the game. And it kind of became more of I guess not a full-time job, but like definitely a part-time job that took more than I expected. And I think I'm trying to bring it back around to seeing content creation as more purely as a hobby again. So it's kind of been a journey in that regard. And I kind of come back to the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is one thing that I didn't realize before I started content creation. I started about 6 years ago now, that it is involved. There's a lot that goes into it. The 30-minute video probably has multiple hours behind it in terms of, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
setting up the video, editing the video, recording the video, figuring out all the technological issues that you're going to have before, during, and after recording and editing that video. It's significant. There's a lot going on, and if that is something that excites you, awesome. You're gonna like it. If that's something that you don't like, then that's the job. That is what it is, and I think one of the things that you just said is really important. I want to go back to it where you said feel like you're spending more time doing this than actually playing the game, and that is true. Like as like a content creator in any space, be it board games or a specific board game like Marvel Champions, like I feel like it's probably just pulling numbers out of my head 4 to 1 in terms of time. I'm spending 4 hours for every 1 hour I'm playing outside of playing the game to keep the channel running. Does that seem fair or over exaggerated? I don't know.
I think it would depend on the content creator and like the person, right, and how much they actually play. I don't think I would say that for me all the time, but like depending on the month, like sometimes I put out like I don't know. For me, like I do a lot of long talky videos, and if I put like I don't know 7 out in like 1 or 2 weeks, yeah, I think that's more than fair in terms of time. And you put out so many
Yeah.
videos, so I absolutely think that makes sense.
Yeah, I do. It's a stupid amount of videos, but yeah. Um, so that does lead into the next question from Winning Hand Podcast. Our next part of the question from Winning Hand Podcast, which is, with the influx of new content creators in the Marvel Champions space, what advice would you give them as they're starting their content creation journey?
Ooh, I would say enjoy it and don't worry about the numbers. And I feel like this is what I say for Marvel CDB as well. People are like, oh, how do I get loads of likes? Well, I think you need to enjoy it first before you worry about like if you only enjoy it if you get big numbers, it's probably not gonna work out long term because it is a lot of work and you kind of have to enjoy it, uh, get enjoyment from it like to some degree internally and not just externally from having people like see it is my first big thing. My second big piece of advice is go make your thumbnails on Canva. um, but for me, I think in hindsight, I wish I'd focused a bit more on the topics and videos I would want to watch because I ended up focusing a lot on covering new content. And I actually do like new content and I like covering new content. So it wasn't a bad thing. But I think just make sure you prioritize what you enjoy the most and kind of do what you want around that.
Yeah. As soon as you start to think about the numbers and be kind of so um obsessed is not the right word, but so focused on the numbers of subscribers, view count, that kind of stuff, it drains it at least drains my battery very quickly. And so I think it's a great piece of advice to just try to not worry about the numbers. Find what you enjoy about the content creation process or about the game, and the numbers will then come. Because what I found is that there's a negative correlation between how much I am trying to get those numbers and how my numbers actually come. Because I think that there is, whether it's very apparent or just a subconscious kind of like from the viewers of seeing he's enjoying this. I think people like to see people enjoying a game that they like. And so as soon as I like kind of take a step back, I'm like, okay, let's just go back and enjoy doing this. I have found that the content typically performs better.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. If I'm watching a video, any kind of content, and someone seems like they're enjoying it, and then maybe somebody else seems like they just have to do it, and it feels maybe a bit late, but like people can tell, right? I
Mhm.
think authenticity is like a big thing, and it does translate through, it does bleed through. There's obviously exceptions, but It'll just be easier for you as well if you really do something you like. So there's only positives.
Yeah. For also content creators starting out, the best piece of advice is to just do it. Just do it. The first videos are probably not going to be the most professional looking videos you've ever done in your life, or maybe actually ever done in your life. Maybe not the most professional videos that are out there. And then what I like to do is every single time I do a video, pick one thing and learn and improve on that one thing. That could be adding text animation, that could be adding color, that could be messing around with the angle or the volume or getting a different mic or something like that. But don't try and do it all at one time because it will be so overwhelming. Start, do, you'll learn your problems, then fix those problems. And then as you continuously do it more and more, you'll get way more adept at solving those problems as they arise.
I like that a lot. I can tell you have more of a focused approach than me because I'm like, put out a video, and if it all went well, I'm like, that was fine. And it's when I encounter a problem, that's when I'm like, okay, I've got to learn to deal with this. But you do eventually, like, the more you do learn it. Like, it will come to you naturally. Probably better if you focus on it, like Nelson said, but it will come over time.
Yeah, yeah. And I think also, talking about the collaboration that we were doing, if there is somebody that you want to work with or somebody that is starting at the same time as you, work with them. Most everybody that I've interacted in the community is fantastic. And the collaboration is going to help you learn way more about the content creation process, but as well as just kind of like get your name out there. So if you're sharing audiences at that point, that helps a lot. Like D20 and I, we streamed together so much. I think before I ever did a solo stream. So, and I think that was a little bit of a different, unique situation, but like collaboration is awesome as well. So, okay, so Cards and Dice asked, what videos on your YouTube channels were the most complex or time-consuming to produce? I'm very curious about this one for you.
Oh boy, I'm just gonna say, I feel like if you looked at all the Marvel Champions creators, I probably spend the most time on my videos on average. I don't know if that's true. There's probably some channel out there that has like 5 videos that each took 10 months to make. But definitely, I do a lot of talky videos with a lot of preparation, like visually, and I really enjoy it. But definitely, I need 48 hours in a day. I am gonna say, I'm gonna give you a couple of answers. I'm gonna give you a couple of answers. One of them, which was the prep time going into it and editing, because the actual video recording itself I didn't have to do a ton for, is I did a video called Everyone's Favorite Villains, which featured over 20 different creators. And chasing up 20 different people for videos that had to all be the right length and then edit them all together and get the sound like close enough and all of that. That was a big effort. After I finished that video, it's like, put my feet up on the couch. Like just collapse a little bit. So that was definitely one that sort of arranging it took a long time. Other than that, I mean, I think to some degree, a lot of our videos, whether just a little bit or quite in depth, include a lot of analysis, and some of this comes from experience, and that could be our whole time playing the game. Some of our videos are made from our entire time playing the game. I think that's fair to say. But to focus in a little bit, I did a video ranking sort of all the mod sets in difficulty, and I even did like a big, huge PDF graphic people could get, all these different things listed. And aside from just playing the game for years and actually playing the game for a few months, really specifically trying to home in on mod sets, I went through every single mod set in the game, card by card, multiple times, evaluating all of it multiple times. I had formulas, I had spreadsheets. I put way too much work into this video that it was ever, well, I guess worth in terms of the content side, but in terms of fun, it was absolutely worth it. I was very, very happy with it.
Yeah.
So that one, I spent an unholy amount of time on.
I bet. That's insane. That's so many modular sets and so many cards to go through.
Roughly 100 modular sets.
Insane.
And I was working at the same time as working on ranking the villains. So I was going through all the villain cards and the mod cards, everything in unison. And that was an effort.
I bet. Oh my gosh.
What about you?
The ones that probably I spent the most time on, it's probably the villain analysis videos, which is probably why I have stopped doing them. Is the villain analysis videos took me a long time to prepare for and to do, and they really didn't get as much traction as a lot of my other videos. And so I kind of
Yeah.
just like, okay, like kind of fell off. I mentioned on the Web Warrior Fanatic podcast that I was just on that I wanted to do a finish out Ultron and at least do the core set villains and have those done. But those take a long time because I go through each card, which is similar to like what you were saying, not as involved as what you were saying. But those are long videos, and I don't have as much familiarity with the villains as I do the heroes. Maybe it's I don't have as much familiarity or experience in articulating what I want to convey with the heroes, because I do that a lot with the live streaming and everything. Whereas villains, a lot of it is subconscious at this point. It's like, okay, I know I need to be looking for my dark designs and all of this, or I know I need to be looking for my fanaticisms, and I'm trying to call that out in the live streams. But when you're going through and talking about like the I'm tough card, I think it is from Rhino, where it's like if you heal damage, it doesn't surge. So put a ping damage on Rhino and then it doesn't surge. Stuff like that. It's like remembering to actually convey that in that video where it's just kind of like it's fun, right? Because it's just like these things that I do, but it's like, oh yeah, I need to like say that. So
Yeah. I actually sympathize a lot because I started a series called like my favorite X hero decks. You know, my favorite deck with each hero. It's going to be like a series, and I did some of them. And in my head, this was just like, oh, I know all about the decks I like. I just put a few of them on there. I can talk about it. But a lot of new cards have come out since I used for some of these heroes. And I really wanted to make sure they were all correct in it. So I had to go back and play through all these decks again. And it turns out what I thought would be like 15, 20 minutes actually was several games of Marvel Champions.
nice.
So, you know, that was a lot longer. And I ended up stopping that one. You know, I'm gonna do a little bit of a self plug here, especially if I am slowing down. If you guys haven't seen it and want a villain theory video you haven't seen, I did a video called The Evolution of Villains, which I spent a ton of time on, and you know, by the standards of what I was releasing around the time, it got a lot less views than I expected, and I think it was really interesting. I don't think if you watch it, you'll see multi-villain scenarios in the same way again. You can even mostly just listen to it. Evolution of Villains.
Nice.
We've got another question here from Proofrock, who asks, what has been your favorite moment up to this point? And I'm guessing this is about the podcast, but I think we could expand it to content or, you know, anything Marvel Champions, however you want to answer this.
Oh, that's a good question, and I need to think about that. My favorite moment.
I have one if you want me to go first.
Yeah, you go first, please.
This is going to sound really silly, and if I really thought about it, I could probably find a bigger favorite moment. But I was editing the first ever Shadow of the Cast, and I never edited for like two people before. I barely edited for one person. You know, I only probably had, I don't know, 5-10 videos at that point. I have actually no idea when we started this, but it was fairly early on in the channel. I was like, I want to do a podcast. So I was editing it, and there's one reaction you had, and the way you reacted in hindsight really made me laugh. So you don't know this, but
Okay.
the way you reacted to this thing kind of became an in joke in my house.
Oh, I'm so excited.
It's very simple and very silly, but a little bit like here when you ask a question you don't know the exact answer, you're like ooh, and you're like ooh ooh ooh. And we sort of made that kind of whole sound, like we weren't sure.
Ooh.
Yeah, like the triple ooh was like our kind of like we need a minute to think on this kind of sound, and
Yeah.
it's just in a fun way, but it's really good.
That's so funny. That's so good. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's fun. From like podcast or podcast adjacent, I still really like taking repurpose from you in that draft. That was a lot of fun.
And you took Storm in one of the other early ones. Oh, the drafts are fun.
That was really fun. The drafts are fun. No, we do need to do that justice draft, and I still have a ton of draft ideas up on my whiteboard that we need to deal with. But that was fun. From like a overall, okay, I think I really enjoy. I really enjoy Con of Heroes. I think Con of Heroes is a ton of fun. And so if I can be as broad to say just Con of Heroes just as the event being kind of one of my favorite things, I would say that. more specifically with Con of Heroes, I do like the shorts that Villain Theory is very well like involved or knows well with like, guessing the cards, but I'll do those live with different content creators or different people at the con. And I have a lot of fun with those because it's really fun to see people kind of like get into like game mode and competitive mode and see if they can get the card. So that's going to be fun. I plan on doing more of those this year too. So I don't know why. Those are just fun for me.
That is really good. I mean, I wish I could go to Con of Heroes, but it's pretty far, pretty expensive. But
Yeah.
it does sound awesome. Like getting to do those games with different people sounds really, really good. I always
Yeah.
Nelson always comes up like before or after a podcast, and he's like, "I've got a game for you," and I'm like, "Oh no, alarm bells going off." Gotta focus. But they're really, really fun, and people really like them. So I think they're very cool.
Yeah. No, those are a lot of fun. Trying to think of like this is not a question that we have gotten, but this is a question I am posing. Do you have a favorite video that you have done?
Ooh, 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 ooh. I have a lot of videos I really like. I definitely think the mod set one I mentioned earlier is one of my favorites I've done because I love changing up the mod sets. And one of my goals that I was doing about 6-7 months ago, I was really trying to focus on mod sets and villains and encourage people to change up the mod sets. Because I feel like it's part of the game that isn't explored as much as it could be, isn't analyzed as much as it could be, isn't as accessible as much as it could be. So I'm very proud of doing that. And then I did my villain ranking without their like recommended mod sets to make it like easier to slot things together. So I was really pleased with that like little combo. I think like every aspect on every hero video really helped a lot of people. I still get feedback about that. People already like that. So I'm very, very pleased with that. I'm just going to talk about all my videos at this point. I mean, I've hit a couple.
Yeah,
I did like the collaborative one with like 20 creators, people talking about the villains. I did like
that was a
evolution
lot
of
of fun.
heroes and villains. I like the analysis stuff I get to do.
Hmm.
And if I do keep slowly making videos, maybe just once every month or two, maybe I'll swing back by and give you guys some random, really deep talk on a really weird topic. What about you?
Yeah. I'm like going through and looking at my videos right now. I like the drafts. I think those are a lot of fun.
Oh,
I
yeah.
I th- I really enjoyed the how to store Marvel Champions. I think the first time I did that video was I think the first non-live stream video I did on the channel. And so like there's a nostalgia there. And then I redid it about 6 months ago. I got to like break out and do like a lot of my different B-roll, take photos and stuff, which is something that I typically don't do for a lot of my videos because it's more like just digital images that I put on the screen. But I was, got out my camera and I was able to do that, which is just something I love to do. And so it's really cool to like merge kind of those two sides of the hobby together and actually have like fun B-roll and like, ooh, let's take this shot and do that and do this. And I just enjoyed doing all of that. So
I mean, that's really cool. I mean, that's something I haven't really ever actually got to do on my channel. So, I mean, that sounds awesome.
yeah, it's fun. I like it a lot. It's I that's what I spend a lot of my time doing for like my other business and stuff. So
Yeah. I'm I'm gonna come back in on this because we were asked about like one thing. I think I'm just gonna go for a couple more. But I was actually really, really pleased and proud that we got to interview like Caleb, one of the lead designers. I really enjoyed that one we did quite recently. That was actually for the podcast, and I've also been lucky enough to reveal some cards for upcoming stuff. So those are things that I'm very like pleased with and happy with as well. Especially Come Get Me Bub and Fury's Flying Car. Those are my favorite cards we've got in those specific packs. Probably the favorite ones from each pack. So I'm very, very, very happy.
nice. Yeah, I'm looking through all of my old videos and oh my gosh, some of my old thumbnails. Oof.
We don't talk about those here. This is audio
We
only
don't
right
talk
now.
about those. Yeah, right. Yeah. Nice. Okay. Fun. 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 Fun.
We've got a question here from Gurismo, a long-time listener and commenter, supporter, and they have asked which topics would be worth a revisit on a later episode. So any topic we've covered before, it can be just one topic, or if there's a couple you think that'd be good to revisit. Anything on your mind?
I really liked our aspect discussions, and because of the nature of this game, like the aspects are continuously expanding, and so maybe it's not like a full episode on aggression, but I've always thought it'd be fun to go and like revisit like those four, probably not pool because it's not an expanding aspect, but the four aspect episodes that we did, kind of like how have they grown? Like, what are the new things, or like what has been modified? Like, we just got a lot of really cool minion summoning stuff that was revealed to us in Winter Soldier, and so like revisiting the aggression to talk about the new toys that we have, or different ways to play leadership now that we have like squared off and stuff like that. That's kind of where my mind goes. What about you?
I think our minds kind of had the same goal from a different direction because actually recently with Falcon's reveal, we've had a new Avenger, and one of our biggest
Yeah.
early episodes is actually revisiting the Avengers. So if we have a bunch of new Avenger heroes, I mean, we've only got one so far, but it feels like the wind is blowing in such a way that there could be more coming up. And if that did happen, I mean, that would be fun to revisit.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. We have a question here from McAnder. What things have viewers slash Discorders done that have meant the most or encouraged the most during your journey as content creators? I want to pair that with the OLAPs. For those of us, which includes me, who think villain theory is awesome, how can we best show our appreciation and support without being annoying? I imagine there are at least 3,000 people who want to wish you the best of luck.
I mean, that is very kind. I would hesitate from doing this now, but this was previously the case. I mean, maybe look to some other content creators you enjoy. But I've been able to do, let's say a giveaway or two, thanks to donations from people, which is really amazing. I've got some photos. I'm probably going to put them on a video at some point. That people sent in where they've got the cards they've received from me. Like Next Evolution promos, and they've been so happy, and they said I'm going to play it straight away, and they said about it, and like that's so cool to be able to do something like that. And that's not something I could have strictly done on my own. Some of those cards came from me, but the majority did not. Did so. That was really good. But generally, I mean, if you want to, I think just to encourage people, sometimes it just says, "Hey, I don't offer and comment. I'm a like or something." But just wanted to let you know, I really enjoy your videos. This is really good. I mean, that kind of thing is awesome. Just general comments are awesome. And yeah, it's a bit of a sensitive topic to talk about. And I think whereas I'm slowing down, I'm definitely not asking for this. But there's a lot of content creators like Nelson who work really hard. He did a video on how the money breaks down. If you have like Prime with like Amazon and that, and you're not using your Twitch sub or something, go find Nelson or like any streamer that you enjoy and make sure they get it. If you don't use your free like Twitch sub, it completely goes to waste. That kind of thing. I don't think anyone should break the bank or pay anything that they can't afford to. So much time goes into this that definitely that kind of thing is super, super helpful.
Yeah. You with your first answer, you copied my answer. I was talking about giveaways where people have sent stuff that then gets given away to the community is a lot of fun. I think that's really cool. And then like this is just I don't know if it really fits into the answer to the question, but I thought it was kind of close. It was really fun. I don't remember when this was or what video it was, but I saw someone, I think it was on Reddit or maybe it was Facebook. I saw someone post one of my videos. I didn't post it. I was like, that's just wild to me. like, like I've been like self-promoting so much like as I was coming up and then just like scrolling through Reddit and like people talking about like one of my I was like, whoa, like that just like kind of took me off guard really quickly. And it was just like it felt like in a very good way, right? Like it was like, oh wow, that's cool. Like that's really fun to see. It's just like just in my normal like Reddit feed, you're not really expecting to see your own name.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, kind of if we kind of follow this like branch, the person at my local gaming store actually who they run the Marvel Champions events there. And I didn't like always run these at the time, but like they actually recognized me. They're like the first person who ever recognized me in person, and that's like crazy. And it's only ever happened at like gaming events at places, but that is a really surreal experience. Like we went to an event to get the promo cards. Actually, some of those are what I ended up giving away. People were actually super kind and donated those. That was like an in-person donation. That's super kind to give a few of your things you just got away. But a couple of people, like sitting there, like they gave me this weird look, and eventually, he's like, someone asked, like, "Are you Villain Fury? Are you the villain guy?" And I'm like, yep, I guess so, kind of, maybe." Yeah, I go by many names. And my partner, who like plays a lot of Marvel Champions with me and like goes to these things, she's like always, "Oh, like this guy makes videos for the game," and I'm like, "No, I'm just a normal player." It's a very surreal experience.
That's funny. We had a question from Dennis Giles. Any funny fan meetings, or have you
Oh
signed
yeah.
anything? And so like that feels like really fun to answer that. Yeah, I get kind of heroes. People recognize me for some reason.
I feel like I would be
That's
recognized
probably
there.
yeah. That's probably like the most like fan meetings. Um I get some at like other like board game conventions. I've gotten a couple. I think my favorite was actually one of my buddies who owns a game store
Ooh.
in Kentucky. He met or like he walked past me in 2024. We were at Gamma Expo, which is kind of the industry event, and so um, I was sitting, we were hanging out, and he like walked past me. He was like, "Are you Nelson?" I was like, "That's wild!" Like like I was not expecting that. But since then, like we've become pretty good friends. Like I went down to visit his store, play Marvel Champions there. We're carpooling up to Con of Heroes together, and so that was really fun. To like be able to make that connection. So yeah, that's probably my favorite fan meeting.
That's really cool. We have a question here from Adam, and I don't think you're gonna like this question, but I'm kind of interested in it. I think we had like a similar but different question when we did our actual episode where D20 guested. We had like make a nightmare scenario, but they asked if you had to get rid of one hero, one villain, and one encounter set. I think that's probably like modular set from the game permanently. What would you choose?
Interesting.
And you can have a bit of time to think
Um,
because this is quite a. There's a lot of this game is big now. There's a lot to choose from.
yeah, and it's also like kind of funny because it you can just not play with them, and so like, but so like I'm trying to approach this question from like, has there been like a meta shift because of the hero or villain that we've gotten that has changed kind of future designs or that they've been trying to rebalance around? Potentially, I don't. I think I would still like the hero in the game, but I'm gonna go with I think Strange. I feel like Strange. Like I think that a lot of the ways that they designed a couple of like waves after him felt kind of like they were trying to balance and rein him in.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know. I'm not 100% sure how that would work. I think if yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. Maybe Strange. Maybe then there wouldn't have been the community discussion around how the game was too easy, which led to Galaxy's Most Wanted.
Oof.
Um, um, but Strange, I could see if we could get rid of one hero. What do you have an answer for the hero?
The hero one is tough because I feel like you can take this question in several contexts. Like, because
Right.
my instant thought here, and hear me out, is Hulk. And I can enjoy Hulk. Hulk has some fun stuff, you know, like big attack, huge HP. He's kind of unique in that respect. But I find his cards like quite plain. I feel like it's kind of like a plane effect. Or if you spend physical, it's a plane effect that isn't like as bad.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I feel like there's a lot more interesting ways to represent Hulk. Like, to mention Marvel Rivals again, Hulk in that game is very dynamic, like jumping in, smashing stuff, jumping out. Whereas Hulk in this game, I feel like the cards are just, you know, the style is there in terms of like what he's trying to do, but I feel like the cards are very plain. But I would love to see a
Yeah.
new Hulk. Like, I wouldn't want him deleted and never to have that hero again because I feel like there's so much potential with Hulk.
Mhm.
But I feel like Hulk is like one of the biggest Marvel heroes, like characters in comics. I think so.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
but in terms of like this design we have, it's a very troubled design. I'm not going to go into the history of it here, but I think that is the one I would, if I lost that from my collection, I probably feel like I lose the least.
Oh, okay. So from the perspective of if you just had to like get rid of it and you would not be able to play it anymore. That's how you're kind of I like that
Yeah.
approach to the question. That okay, that makes okay. Now I can think about that a little bit more. I was having a hard time like conceptualizing what the question was, but yes, okay. I can think about that. I do have an answer for the villain. That'd be Collector One for me.
Yeah.
I
I'm
think
gonna
Collector One is just not fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say the modular one. I'm a bit struggling with. If we can't come up with one, I think answering these other things is just fine. But yeah, for me, the villain, I've got two answers, and one of them is Collector One because I just feel like you just have to keep paying to play. You have to dig out the villain's own stuff just so the game doesn't end. Just
Yeah.
I'm not into that much. My second choice here is gonna be Wrecking Crew because I think if you delete that
Interesting.
scenario, nothing else comes in that scenario pack. There's no modular sets or anything. And I think, although it can be fun, I think they've done the multi-villain thing again, but better. So
Yes.
I don't necessarily think it has too much unique still going for it in the modern game.
Yeah. I agree with that. Wrecking Crew probably is actually my answer because I've completely forgotten that they were even a thing.
See?
So they didn't even come to my mind when I was thinking about this. But yeah, Wrecking Crew, yeah, I agree. I think Wrecking Crew probably could disappear pretty easily from the game. I thought
Yeah.
you were talking about the modular set Wrecking Crew. I was like, what a shot at Wrecking Crew. I thought that was a fairly
Ah.
decent modular set.
It is. It's fun. I like it. No, but the scenario, Collector 1 will make me crankier at the table. It is one of the only scenarios in the game where I'll be like, why did I sit down and play this? Because I actually love almost all the scenarios.
Yeah.
But it's got a lot of unique stuff too. It's kind of a unique scenario, whereas Wrecking Crew was extremely unique. I don't feel like it is anymore.
hmm To go back to the hero, I have two answers. Both shield traded,
Don't
ironically.
don't say Star
I
Lord.
would
That's
say
good.
no. I would say Hawkeye. Hawkeye doesn't bring too much to the game for me.
Mm.
And War Machine is the other one. I think I
Ugh.
could be okay with either one of those.
Ugh.
They feel so similar. They just play the game the same every single time, it feels like. War Machine has gotten a little bit more fun. He really likes Leo and Gemma. I played a old hero new trick with him recently. That was fun. But look, I'm just looking through all the heroes. Those are the two that I have the least connection with, I think.
That is totally fair. I see it for Hawkeye. I do quite enjoy him occasionally, but I feel like if he wasn't in my collection, I lose not nowhere near as much as most heroes. But War Machine, I'm kind of a fan. Kind of
Yeah?
no no one's there's no accounting for taste. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm gonna be brave and throw out a second character. And this is gonna upset a lot of people. They're going to be like, "Good riddance to you." I think the most popular guiding character. And I did a poll years ago now at this point, I guess, but this guy ended up like it's one of the top contenders for the whole game. People really like him, but for me, here I have one of the least connections with, and there's a certain user called Black Daz who will not like me saying this. I think I've mentioned it before, but Venom and me just aren't friends. The Venom, Flash Thompson,
Yeah.
uh, I feel like there's not many decks for him that I can do with him and nobody else. There's just I feel like a lot of his cards are quite generic. It's like attack, pay the right resource, attack with overkill. I feel like these are fine, but I feel like we see every kind of card like that elsewhere. He's got Multigun, which can attack or fort. He's got his pistols, which boost attack and fort. I do a little bit of everything in a way that isn't super unique to me. We could just get some awesome weapon cards, and he has a lot of weapons, and it could completely flip. But right now, I don't feel like he brings a lot to my collection the way I play personally.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I thought you were gonna go with Rocket when you were like, a lot of people really like this character. I was like, don't say that about Rocket. That's so mean.
Rocket used to
But
be
yeah,
in my bottom 5 characters, but he's shot up. He's high. He's like a character I very much enjoy these days. Just had a rough start with me. I think we have time for one final question here. So we're going to go with a question from Brian H. And I've kind of asked 3 questions, but I'm going to they kind of lead in. What are your thoughts on the deck building process? How do you approach which hero to play? And do you prefer to start with what a hero does best and build from there, or think of a combo to fit into a hero? So I guess it's 2 questions ultimately. How do you approach which hero to play? And then with deck building, do you start with what a hero does best, or think of a combo and then try and apply that?
I do it two ways. There are sometimes when if we have a new hero, I'm gonna probably play that new hero, right? As we get Silk, I'm gonna play Silk.
Oh yeah.
And there are gonna be times where I will revisit heroes, not necessarily with anything in mind, but it's like I haven't played Spectrum in a while. Let's pull Spectrum out and let's see what she can do. And at that point, I keep the hero first and foremost, and then I kind of build into their strengths. With a combo, and I do believe the second way is probably my preferred way to deck build, is when we have a card or something that I want to try and make work. May that could be like go all out. That could be something that is like test the defense or something along those lines that has like a very specific way and style to play. And it's like, okay, now test the defense, play 5 attack events. It's going to deal some damage. whenever I place a counter on it. What hero can I pair with this to make it interesting and fun? And then I did like a Gamora build because she has all these like really low cost attack events to try and like combo off of that. And so I prefer that way to play. And that's kind of where the series that is stalled out a little bit on the channel, the Deck Factory, where we take a card and then build for that card. I really like approaching deck building from that angle.
Yeah, I think those are good answers. I'm struggling for myself here. I feel like I approach everything in every way, and it kind of just depends on the day. Like say, new character comes out, I'm going to play that. But there are new aspect cards with them. Sometimes I'm like, wow, where would
Hmm.
this combo fit? So I do a little bit of both, especially when new stuff has arrived. I most commonly play two-player these days, and it's most commonly with my partner. And if she says I want to play this character in this aspect, I sometimes pick around that. So I'm sometimes responding to someone else's choice quite commonly. So that is one. I also, I try and do a lot of analytical stuff. So I try and stay refreshed on every hero. So sometimes it is kind of like you said, oh, I haven't played Spectrum in a while. I'm going to play Spectrum. So that is very difficult to pin down one answer. Something I do a lot as someone who likes to build a lot of decks is I'll build like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 decks. And then I'll play like the top 3, 4, 5 of them across the next, couple evenings or something. So if I have some good deck ideas, that can depend. I can start with a hero and think this hero has a lot of potential. Let's try and do something different with them. Or I can start with cards and be like, oh, I could do something here. But sometimes I build up like a selection of new decks to play, and I sort of kind of choose from those.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. There's so many ways that you can deck build, and so many heroes that we have in the game now, and so many aspect cards, and every hero can be like paired in like 6 different aspects if you include basic and pool, and it's just like the combos are insane, and so it's really fun to have different ways that you can approach it, which is fun. But I just like I like picking a card and trying to figure out where that card fits. That's always really fun for me.
Yeah, I think that's a really fun way to do it. There's actually something else I remember I wanted to talk about on this episode, which we don't
Yeah,
have a question for. So I'm just gonna randomly, I don't know, monologue out of nowhere, if that's okay with you, Nelson.
of
But
course.
you know this story though, and something I kind of feel like is funny, but we've never said, is that the Shadow of the Cast logo, which you see at like the start and the end on YouTube, and it's kind of the icon on like Spotify and all the platforms for podcasts. We've got like the orange background, and it's like a silhouette of kind of like the Shadow of the Past kind of card style. Uh, and it was always intended to be that way after we named the podcast. This is actually one of the earliest ideas for the name. I don't think you've ever told the name story, but I was like, we were talking about like coming up with ideas, and I said I've got this one name. I'm trying to think of some others, and it was just Shadow of the Cast. I just thought it was something that's fun that sort of rhymed and incorporated podcasts and Marvel Champions. That was kind of universally known. But we wanted the art for the little icon, different places. So I was like, we'll base it off Shadow of the Past, the art. So I go to an artist, give them some money, and I'm like, I would like something that resembles, this kind of silhouette, the kind of outline of this character, the pose, not exactly the same. I said, I don't want Spider-Man, I don't want copyright ninjas coming at me. I do not want Spider-Man on this. I don't know if that would ever be followed up, but I just wanted it to be kind of our separate own thing. It's like,
Uh-huh,
do
uh-huh.
not put Spider-Man on this, but something reminiscent of the pose that people could recognize and see like similarity. And you know what they came back with? It looked like a Googled image of Spider-Man just slapped on, like kind of slightly transparent in like a square. And I'm like, so you ignored the assignment and didn't do any of the art that you advertised. I was like, what? Uh
But it does look like he's spitting fire into that mic, so I'm just saying.
I mean, yeah, it was like give me something like Shadow of the Past, like in terms of like the figure, but not actually Spider-Man with a microphone, and they did not deliver. They did not deliver. They just did a like random image of Spider-Man. Uh, so I ended up making the icon that you see there. It's not exactly, even though it's like a black silhouette, it's not exactly the same. Like it's a couple of lines different. There's like the eyes are different to Spider-Man's, but they are reminiscent. I think everyone knows what it's meant to be. And fun fact, that is actually when I did my channel's logo, which took about 10 minutes very randomly, but I was very pleased with it. Um,
Guys,
just a happy kind of thing that just kind of sprang out at the same time. So I ended up having to do it myself because the artist let me down. So that's just a funny,
nice.
a funny kind of
That's
story.
hilarious. That's really, really funny. Oh, nice. Oh, well, good episode. Good looking back. I think future episodes You can find them on my channel, and if you're watching on YouTube, then will there be a link to my channel down in the video description where people can find it?
There should be lots of links. There should be all the links you could ever dream of to Nelson's channel. And yeah, going forward, it'll be on Nelson's channel, which, part of me is a little bit sad about, but I'm really glad we get to continue this because I really enjoy doing these with you.
Me too. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. And then if you're listening wherever you get your podcast that is not YouTube, ignore this part because I don't think it's going to change for you. So hopefully it's not going to change. If it does, we will let you know somehow. But nice. Always good talking with you, Villain.
Yeah, really good talking with you. And maybe by the next time we talk, we might have played Silk and Shuri, maybe. I don't know what our next topic is, but it's going to be exciting. And I
Yeah,
look forward to, sharing that with everyone.
looking forward to it. Thanks all.
Bye.
Peace.